So there's been a lot of talk and speculation as to whether or not The Undertaker will be appearing at this year's WrestleMania. And, along with everybody else, has been following the career of The Undertaker for a very, very long time since his first ascension in WWE back in 1990. The Undertaker became a very huge icon, especially with his streak at WrestleMania. And I always felt that his streak should have ended with CM Punk at WrestleMania 29. And I've often thought that after that, that should have been the end of the streak, or actually, that should have been the end period. And Undertaker should have probably went into the Hall of Fame afterwards. But that didn't happen. I guess, the Undertaker's streak is at 21 and 0, and we might as well go ahead and just continue with the next opponent. I always felt the next opponent should have been Sting. I've always felt it should have been him versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania 30. But it ended up being Brock Lesnar. And of course, we know about what happened afterwards. Brock was responsible for ending the streak. And while the match was pretty good between The Undertaker and Brock Lesnar, it kind of left a very bad, I don't know if it's a very bad taste in everyone's mouth. It was one of those moments where, some people were pissed off and mad, and others were confused and had no idea how to react, especially when The Undertaker has been undefeated for so long, and have someone like Brock Lesnar come in and beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania. And I thought, would this be over? Would this be done? No, the following WrestleMania comes along. The Undertaker continues, and he would defeat Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania 31. And then The Undertaker would have the Hell in a Cell match against Shane McMahon. And then The Undertaker's undefeated, or actually, The Undertaker would be defeated once again at WrestleMania 33 when he took on Roman Reigns. And that was one of those moments where I know the following night, The Undertaker was being, cheered on. I remember the next night where everyone's saying, "Thank you, Taker, thank you, Taker." And everyone was getting on Roman Reigns like crazy because the moment when The Undertaker lost to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 33, that was the end of it. And Roman Reigns was really getting, the fans were really getting on his case. And it also led to the speculation about what was going to happen to The Undertaker. And then the following year, which was last year, The Undertaker, I thought I thought for sure that The Undertaker was just going to leave the streak the way it is with Roman Reigns. I thought it was the perfect moment for The Undertaker to just go ahead and enter into the Hall of Fame. And then if he wanted to do one more match, he should. But it should be done. Um, it should be done right. It should be done fair, and it's the perfect tribute for The Undertaker. All of a sudden, WrestleMania 34 comes along. The Undertaker has not said a word, and we weren't sure if The Undertaker was going to, somehow, some way, he was going to appear. He shows up, he takes on John Cena, and John Cena gets completely destroyed at the hands of The Undertaker at WrestleMania. And that was it for him. And then, of course, everybody remembers the whole thing with the Super Showdown between him and Triple H, and then Crown Jewel that happened afterwards. So the big speculation has been: is the Undertaker going to appear? Word is that um, the Undertaker was not going to appear at this year's WrestleMania. Other speculations are the fact that if the Undertaker returns, should he come back as the Deadman? I've always felt that the Undertaker should have came back not as the Deadman character, but I've always wanted to see the American Badass. I've always felt that that character was very overlooked, and I know that the fans want the original Undertaker, and I think the fans like the original Undertaker, but I think there's a few that probably want to see the American Badass come back, or Big Evil to come back to WrestleMania. and more speculations about the Undertaker. Everyone's been shocked about the fact that the Undertaker is appearing, or is supposed to be appearing. I know he's supposed to be appearing in the Starcast event that's taking place right after WrestleMania. Now, I'm not sure about his contract negotiation. I don't know if the Undertaker is going to be done with the WWE after WrestleMania, or even if he's done now. I know that Undertaker had recently made an appearance in I believe it's called C3 Creative Church Contribution. I think that's what it was called. The Undertaker made an appearance with a man named Eric Young, or not, or Ed Young. I'm sorry, like that. Um, Talked about his career, talked about his injuries, and talked about everything that was going on. And it was one of those things that you see. It's basically like going to church in every way possible. And I guess the Undertaker has been, I guess, seeing the Lord in most ways, and and there's nothing wrong with that. I can't recall one that has not seen God, or has not, wanted to embrace God. I mean, just ask Sting, just ask Ted DiBiase, just ask others that decide to uh, give their undying attention to the Lord. The Undertaker has done that. So now reads the question: should the Undertaker appear at WrestleMania at all? Should he even appear? My view of it is, I would love to see the Undertaker come back for one more WrestleMania. Or actually, I think what should happen, and this is just my opinion and my thought, I've always felt that if the Undertaker's career is going to end, if the Undertaker's career is going to be finished, it needs to be done correctly. It needs to be done right with the right opponent. And I've always felt the right opponent should have been Sting. It should have been Sting years ago. I've always felt that there should have been something there with Sting and the Undertaker. My thought of it was, say we go back to WrestleMania 30, and say you bring Sting in and you have Sting beat the Undertaker. Sting should have been the one to beat the Undertaker and not Brock Lesnar, and it would have made for a great storyline. Because as you know, Brock Lesnar was the one that defeated Sting. Or, I'm sorry, was the one that defeated the Undertaker, and then it took 2 years for the Undertaker to come back and come after Brock Lesnar and beat him at SummerSlam, right? Say you put a similar storyline, same way, but with Sting. I think there'll be some fans that will be excited, but also some fans that would be disappointed. And say the feud between Sting and the Undertaker goes into a different level. Like, in other words, say Sting beats the Undertaker at WrestleMania 30. Sting would be hated, but he would also be a hero in most ways. And then you would see this long extended feud between Sting and the Undertaker. And the feud would be so long that it would escalate into the next WrestleMania. And it would come to a point where, say, Sting and the Undertaker face off against each other, one on one, say a casket match, and it would be something that these two would not only go at each other and go back and forth with this, it would Sting being in the casket and the Undertaker would win. I always felt that should have been something that should have been under consideration, but since none of that's happened, this is all that's coming from me right now. It's not something that any creative person could possibly think about. It may sound stupid, but to me, it would sound okay. But it is what it is. So Undertaker appears at WrestleMania 35. Speculation is he's not. He's not going to. And I don't. And to me, this is just my opinion. I think Undertaker should not appear at WrestleMania this year. I don't think there's anything wrong with the Deadman not being a part of WrestleMania this year, because of the injuries and because of the fact that I don't think the WWE is that interested in him that much anymore anyway. I think what they should do is, if they choose if they choose to bring the Undertaker in at WrestleMania, there's got to be the right opponent. Word is, I mean, a thing that I read was I think AJ Styles would have made a great opponent for the Undertaker, but I kind of see AJ Styles versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania. While Undertaker versus AJ Styles would be a great match for WrestleMania, I don't think it should happen because I don't want to see the Undertaker, beat AJ Styles because basically, and this is just what I think literally, I think the Undertaker could bury AJ Styles at WrestleMania, and that wouldn't be so good for either the Undertaker or AJ Styles. So AJ Styles versus Randy Orton would be the right choice to pick for WrestleMania. Undertaker appearing at WrestleMania shouldn't happen. I think they should leave it alone. I think the Undertaker shouldn't even appear at WrestleMania at all. But if they choose to bring him back, if they choose to let him go to WrestleMania, there needs to be one opponent that will qualify. I think that there's been other speculation that there's a few superstars that will not be appearing at this year's WrestleMania. Undertaker is one. John Cena is another. Stephanie McMahon is also another person. Lita and Trish Stratus have also been named as well. And there's a lot of people that are wondering why aren't these people going to be a part of WrestleMania? Because I don't think they're going to draw. Undertaker may draw a little bit. John Cena, sort of. Stephanie, not too much. And if it was going to be Lita and Trish Stratus, it would be because of the tag team, the women's tag team championship. But other than that, I don't see Undertaker appearing at this year's WrestleMania. I think I don't see a problem with the Undertaker going into the Hall of Fame next year. Not this year, I think next year. And I always think that the Undertaker is given the option whether or not he should be inducted in the Hall of Fame or not. And in all due respect, I think that's the right move, and I think that's right for the WWE to let the Undertaker decide whether he should be in the Hall of Fame or not. While Triple H is the one that always says or makes the phone calls and says, he should be in the Hall of Fame, and this person should be in the Hall of Fame, and that person should be in the Hall of Fame. I think the Undertaker was already given the choice to go to the Hall of Fame. But it's up to the Undertaker to choose when he comes in the Hall of Fame and what WrestleMania and everything. So, and that's just me. That's just me saying it. So, will the Undertaker appear at WrestleMania? Well, just all have to find out. I mean, we're at 34 days away from WrestleMania. We got a long way to go. We'll see what happens. If an opponent comes up and decides to challenge the Undertaker, no doubt it'll happen. But if it's all about what's going on at WrestleMania and there's no Undertaker involved, I don't think there's anything with the fans not hating on the fact that the Undertaker's not there. I just think we'll be better off without the Undertaker this year. But there'll be a point, there'll be a time when people will start saying, "Man, I think the Undertaker should come back." And I've always gotten sick and tired of people saying the same thing. Oh, the Undertaker should just he'll wrestle for 5 more years. He'll wrestle for 10 more years. No, no, no. I think he should call it quits. He should call it quits. It should end, but it should end in his terms, not on ours, not on anyone else's terms. And WrestleMania should end with the Undertaker's terms, no matter how we